No problem.
Well, good afternoon to all the attendees on our audience in this short conversation, a short time that we have with our guest, Tony Bradley. As you know, we try to develop some specific elements to understand what is going up in terms when the people need to take some specific tests. What is the most common problems when the people attend some specific problems or issues when they are going to take English level test. But I like to introduce our guest today, Mr. Tony Bradley. Tony, very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon here in Colombia. Good night there in London. Thank you for your coming here. Thank you, because I know that it's late now there, but you are here because you want to share many of your experience with our attendees. Thank you very much. I'd like to share who is Tony Bradley. Tony is a good teacher. He has over 25 years of teaching experience in a variety of settings, both in UK and other countries. I know that you began as a teacher of English and a foreign language in Japan, right?
That's correct. That's right. My first teaching post was as a teacher of English in Japan. Yeah, in the early 1990s. It seems a long time ago.
Okay, I spent a lot of numbers of years as a primary school teacher in UK. And now you are going to attend the Educational Venture Corporation, EdVec. And I like that you share about what about the EdVec, and if you want to add something about your experience, could be great. Welcome, okay. Tony, and the attendees, all people are listening to you. Right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here. And thank you, Freddie, for setting this up. Yeah, you're quite right, Freddie. I'm a teacher by profession. So yeah, I've been teaching for over 25 years. And I did start my career in Japan. I spent about 4 years teaching English to lots of different age groups. I think my youngest students were maybe 3 years old, and I think my oldest student was a guy in his 80s. So it was a big spread of ages. And I came back to the UK, and I had a career, quite a few years teaching in primary, elementary schools in the UK. My specialism was history, but I taught, of course, being a primary school teacher, I taught everything. And then in more recent years, I decided to take a different direction, and I became a teacher of children, of young people with special educational needs. So young people with complex emotional needs, and a variety of physical needs as well. It was a very, very challenging job, but extremely rewarding, very interesting.
Okay.
And then, well, 2.5 years ago, I rejoined EdVec. I was, when I was working in Japan, teaching in Japan, I was part of the EdVec team back in 1997, 98. I rejoined EdVec. So I actually have stopped teaching now. I haven't taught for about 2.5 years. And EdVec is a Japanese company based in Yokohama and Tokyo, offices in both cities. And in 97, 98, EdVec started as a publishing company, and we were part of a larger group. We had a number of schools, cram schools, exam preparation schools, about 50 or 60 schools. And we would publish materials, test preparation materials for our internal customers. And over time, that grew we sold to other educational institutions. So it was very much a physical product, paper and ink, books, remember those? And then in more recent years, there was a growing realization that that technology was moving on, and we moved to digital solutions for language learning and language testing. Started with CD-ROMs. Even CD-ROMs seem like old technology now. And then in the last 3, 4, 5 years into apps, various language learning apps and testing solutions. And that brings us right up to date. So yeah, I'm their man. I'm Edvic's man in Europe.
Wow.
so it's a pleasure to be here from across the Atlantic.
And it's a pleasure for us too, Tony. Thank you. And look, a huge experience, a lot of years working in the same area, try to teach others to learn and practice and improve their skill language too. So, you know what, we share to our attendees, not only in TESOL, but also some couples ago, some couples of weeks ago, we ask to the audience, what is the most common problems that you find when the people need to go attend or present an international or whatever kind of assessment of English test? So we discovered, and I like to share before that some question that I like to ask to you about the most common problems that the people found according to the test level English. So the first one was, it's very common that the people need to go only in face-to-face, and it's difficult with the new normality, the new normals, the pandemic, etc. The other one was the long time. Spend a lot of time trying to take the test, multiple versions. It's very difficult to assess the speaking levels and as well in writing dimensions too, and how prepare different tests and official exams. It was the most common problems that we found. So I like to start with you in one specific question. How does ABC assessment of English work? And how is it able to get an accurate predictive result in such a short test? What do you want to share about that, or what do you want to explain a little more deeper about how does ABC assessment of English work?
Okay, well, it's a fundamental question, I guess. Maybe if I just give you a little bit of history behind the engine, how we created. Well, we call it Level Lingo, of course, in the markets that we operate now, but in Latin America and in Colombia, it's become ABC assessment. And the first incarnation of ABC was actually in Korea. So the original engineers, the software engineers, and the some very clever guys who wrote the algorithms, the original algorithms, were Korean academics. I should first of all, right from the beginning, explain that technically I simply can't explain how it works because I don't know. The technicalities behind the algorithms are just too much for me. It has been explained to me and I don't understand it. But I will do my best to make it as simple as possible. I should also explain that there are patents that are pending on the technology. And so some of the explanation we can't really share yet, but to give you some detail, the engineers and our own team, actually, because we've now created another test for our markets in Japan. What we did was we analyzed a lot of data and a lot of exam questions from the various widely used English language exams around the world. So from TOEIC and TOEFL and the Cambridge exams, IELTS, etc. And we used openly available data to write our own series of questions that we could use to grade someone's English language ability. I should say right from the beginning that Level Lingo ABC is an adaptive test. So once a student starts to take the test, the AI will very quickly get an approximate level for that person's language ability and start to adapt each question as they move along. So the questions may become a little harder or a little easier, depending on the person's answer. Each test begins with a vocabulary section. and the vocabulary section is the largest section in the test. And this is where it becomes difficult for me to understand, but apparently the algorithms, the AI behind the test, from the vocabulary answers, they're able to very quickly make a prediction about the test taker's level, so they can begin to set the rest of the language sections accordingly. When a test taker answers a question, if they're wrong, we make the test approximately half a level, an internal level, easier. If they're correct, we make the next question approximately half a level more difficult. And in this way, we're able to get very quickly to get quite an accurate idea of the language level that the person's speaking at. Sorry, Freddie, I can't hear you. I'm sorry, Freddie, I've lost your sound completely.
Sorry, I'm talking about the according to the AI data. Yeah.
According to exactly, according to AI data. But the AI was trained, and how one of the ways, well, the most important way that we did that was that when the product was first, the system was first launched in the Korean market, we took, I don't know the numbers exactly, but it was several thousand test takers at various institutions. We got them to agree to actually take part in our trials. And what we would do is we would ask the test taker to give us their real world English language ability. So, for example, if they'd recently done a TOEIC test or an IELTS test, what was your score? Then we'd give them the the level lingo, the ABC test. And if there were any discrepancies in the results that our AI was giving compared to their real world test results, the AI would be adjusted accordingly. And by doing this several thousand times, we were able to fine tune the AI so that it just got more and more and more accurate as more and more data was collected. I think I have the figure somewhere. I think now we have over 300,000 tests have now been taken, mainly in Korea and Japan. And every single time a test is taken, that data is run through the algorithms, through the AI. The system is self-learning. So on every piece of data, it becomes more and more accurate. And that process is continually monitored by the engineers behind the system as well, so that they can continuously fine-tune the system, the AI. That might sound very complicated, but it's the best I can do.
Thank you. I knew that our technology in ABC assessment of English was selected by Level Lingo, obviously, in the next World Cup in Qatar, 2022.
We can't say for sure. We have submitted we've submitted a bid to be the official language assessment tool for all of the volunteers who will take part in the Qatar World Cup. Yes, there's a lot of
how many people?
Or approximately, we're thinking about 250,000 people.
Okay,
something like that. We're waiting to hear. We should know any time, but we know it's a difficult project to get the tender for. But we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Okay, and when we know more about deeper the ABC aspects that you shared with us, how would you describe ABC usefulness as an English language testing tool? For example, to be used before a student pay a lot of money or spend a lot of time trying to take in a TOEIC or TOEFL exams, whatever other kind of exams.
Yeah, well, I think cost is obviously a very, very important issue. I'm not sure how much a TOEFL test, for example. I think a TOEFL test in Colombia or in most of the countries in Latin America are something like between $200-$250, something like that. Am I correct? Something like that.
Depend if you are going to take a writing, reading, or speaking included. Depend, but it's more like 150 up to 225. Depend.
Okay. It's well, that's a lot of money. That's a big commitment for some students to.
But in our currency, it's more expensive.
Of
because
course, yeah.
The rate of the dollar is increasing and increasing in these last 2 years.
So that's quite a commitment for a student to make if they and of course these are high stakes tests. So I'm guessing most people are taking a TOEFL or a TOEIC or an IELTS test, or because they want, as an undergraduate study or postgraduate study or for employment purposes. So I think one of the really great things about Levelingo is that it can be used as a predictive tool. So for a fraction of the price of an official test, a student can use ABC assessment and get a very accurate prediction of what their score would be if they go to take the official test. And I think that's got to be valuable. They don't have to commit all that money. They can just do a test for a fraction of the price. But it's not just cost. I think most of the tests you have to travel to an official test center, which means students, if they're lucky and they live in the major cities, that's maybe not a big issue. But if you live further out in one of the smaller towns, exactly, there's a cost in time and to actually get to a test center. And of course, at the moment with the pandemic, that's become a huge issue, actually doing things face to face. With Levelingo, it can be done on the student's own device, in the comfort of their own home, and they can get a pretty accurate predictive result. And then with that result, because of the way that Levelingo is configured, they can get feedback. The feedback can be set by the institutions who are using Levelingo. That's customizable. So the student will know which aspects of their English language ability they have strengths and which aspects they have weaknesses. So they know where to focus their energy, their efforts, what they need to study more of in order to prepare, in order to be ready when they make the commitment to take the official exam. So I think for all those reasons, it's a really useful tool.
And what about the feedback? It's instant, yeah.
The feedback is instant, exactly. Yeah, well, actually, it's up to the institution, the sponsoring institution. The students can get their feedback instantly, or an institution could choose to hold back that feedback and the results, and the student has to contact them in order to get the results. And in this way, the institutions have more control over what to do with the feedback and the results. So by that, I mean, if a student gets a particular level and within that level, they need to do more speaking practice, speaking and listening practice, the institution can then direct their student to the correct class or the correct materials that they need to use in order to improve their English. And the feedback is customizable. So each institution could set their own feedback according to the level. That's all entirely possible. So yeah, we're very proud of that aspect of Levelingo. Actually, we think it's a really unique feature of the system.
Okay, and what other advantage does ABC have when preparing the student for their exams?
Well, I suppose one thing I should mention is when a student takes a Levelingo test, they will get a predictive score in more than one of the official test measures.
TOEFL,
So,
TOEIC, IELTS.
yeah, CAFR levels.
Okay.
And then also that we could also configure the system so that on top of those official scores, there could also be the scores that are specific to that institution. You know, if a university or a school, a chain of language schools has their own system of leveling, we could also include those levels in the feedback as well. So with one test, students can get lots and lots of information. If they do a TOEFL test, they get a TOEFL score, and you know, that's it. If they do an IELTS test, they get an IELTS score, and leveling, or we present all of those scores in one feedback.
And the accuracy is almost 85%.
Yeah, we're up to now approximately 85% accuracy. I should explain that Levelingo works by pairing languages. So because of where the system was first developed, the first language pairings were Korean to English. And very soon after, Levelingo was deployed in Japan through with our own schools and contacts, EDVEC's contacts. So we developed Japanese to English pairing. And then in recent months, we've developed the Spanish to English pairing, because the Spanish to English pairing is a little bit behind the first two. So the AI is still learning, the data is still learning. So we're not entirely certain what the accuracy is at the moment. We think it's about 75%, something like that. But that the more it's used, that will very, very quickly grow. And actually, we have no idea how accurate it will become. We don't know, you know, will it become 99% accurate, or we don't know. But we know it will continue to grow as the AI continues to learn. What other advantages, apart from I guess it's useful for institutions because they don't have to prepare lots of different test materials for their students if they want to. If the students want to get a TOEFL score, they have to produce a TOEFL test paper. If they want to repeat that test, they have to produce a second TOEFL test paper. And this all takes time, and it all takes money, of course. With Levelingo, because it's a huge database of questions, it would be very, very unusual for a student to get the same question more than once. So you can just take another test. You have new questions. The student is faced with new questions. That's a great example of its flexibility, you know, for an institution. And I was going to say something else, and now I can't remember. What was it?
I think that is a lot of things that you can share, not only about the ABC assessment of English, the power, but also I think that it's very important that you invite the audience or the attendees to your next participation in TESOL the next Saturday. You are going to talk about the assessing student progress in an online classroom. Yeah,
I am. Yes, I'm very, very excited to be doing that. One of the projects I've been working on recently with some other educationalists, actually EDVEC CEO, Basil Tonks, and also some teachers and educationalists in Canada, was to write a course. We've given it the title of a practical guide to online teaching. And this is a direct result of the pandemic and teachers having to take their teaching online. And one of the modules in that course is on student assessment. And through conversations with teachers, with people I used to work with, and the team, and people who are teaching in various countries around the world, we realized that very, very few teachers have had any kind of formal training to take their teaching skills online. When the pandemic came, they simply had to adapt very quickly. And one of the aspects of their teaching that people were very worried about was, how do I assess? How do I make sure that my students are making progress? So we did some research, we did some reading, we talked to a number of teachers to see how they were doing things, and I'd like to share our findings and offer, I hope, some help, some advice to people who are having to teach online and having to assess online. I don't know all the answers, absolutely not, but I hope I can be of some help.
Okay, very good. So you have some special prize or special promotion, I don't know, to our Colombian teachers, maybe?
Yeah, yes, we do. And thanks to your good selves, CES. I thank you very much for your participation in this. And I also have to give my thanks to La Sabana University, and Professor Gonzalez, who I've been in conversation with a lot recently. And we were able to offer the course at a 50% discount.
50 off.
50% off, yeah, just for the duration of TESOL. I think it's for the next 60 days or something. There is a link available somewhere. When I do my presentation, I can give the link, and I think the link's also available somewhere else. I think you probably have it somewhere, Freddie. So if people want to contact you, maybe you can point them in the right direction.
Okay, okay.
And I will mention very briefly. I will mention ABC assessment as one of the potential ways to assess, because it's an online learning tool, but there are lots and lots of ways that teachers can assess their students online. Some of them are ways they've always assessed students in the traditional classroom, and it just takes a little bit of creativity to use the same techniques and methods in an online classroom. But I'm excited to be doing it. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Tony. So if you as a teacher, the director, coordinator, please, if you need that demo, just write down by email an info that says ingles.com, in order that you have the best experience in less time and less cost with ABC assessment of English. And in the other way, if you want to participate in this 50% of discount that Tony talked about, that please send an email in info, and obviously we respond immediately with the different direction or instructions about how access to the demo and or the demo about the test, or in other way about the course too, and sharing the link. Perfect.
Thank you, Freddie. That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well, Tony, thank you very much for your time, for your experience, and we hope that we can talk together again sooner. But by now, please attend the next event, the next Saturday, as I told you.
Saturday at 2 p.m. Yeah.
2 p.m. Colombian time.
Please, all welcome. Please come along. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate your help, your support, and your friendly.
Thank you very much. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.